First study on the carnivore diet, released by Harvard this November. They ended the study with, contrary to common expectations, adults consuming a carnivore diet experienced few adverse effects and instead reported health benefits and high satisfaction. Surprise came because an average of 90% of people saw improvements across all diseases on the diet.
A lot of people have beef with the carnivore diet, pun intended. It's not always to do with the diet itself, but how the superfans talk about the diet. Case in point, let's rewind 4 years ago when this old video was first posted. It is totally true, this first study concluded many positive things about the carnivore diet, but it was also very heavily criticized. Amongst other things, they recruited participants from social media, including Facebook groups dedicated to the carnivore diet. Imagine you asked 100 people for their experiences with coffee enemas. Some will be very positive, some will be meh. And very occasionally you will find someone who burned their rectum or perforated their bowel. But if you go to a private Facebook group dedicated to people who love pouring coffee into their butthole, what would you get? A hardcore group of fans who rave about coffee enemas. And this selection bias in recruiting means you can't really extrapolate the results to the wider population. If you wanted a more balanced review, yes, many people love the carnivore diet. But there are also criticisms including risk of nutrient deficiencies and potential worsening of cardiovascular disease risk. If carnivore fans said, hey, I really like this diet, but there are some things you should be aware of, almost nobody would give a fuck. But just like with all diets, a little hardcore subset of superfans turn into a cult and act like it is the greatest thing since sliced bread.
Name one diet that has put most of our health problems into remission. Just one. Things like fibromyalgia, endometriosis, PCOS, obesity, type 2 diabetes. The list goes on and on and on. I want you to name me one diet. While you're thinking of that, I'm going to continue on with this video. Now, I know you guys like to go off the research, trust the science, but here's the thing. A lot of us done this. A lot of us ate this way, but we still didn't get the results that we wanted. We may have gotten in shape, but we couldn't figure out why we were feeling like shit. And here's the thing, when we went against your advice and we said, right, we're not going to trust the fucking science anymore, then our lives actually improved. These were things that you guys could never ever figure out in the first place. So what do? Do we just call these people liars and just pretend it never happened? Guys, I want you to listen to me very, very carefully. And anybody who knows this person, do me a favor. I want you to actually send him this video, because I would have tagged him in this video, but he's actually blocked me. This is the issue, guys. Most people choose the carnivore lifestyle because they've tried everything else. They've done the low-calorie diets. They've done it all. They've done the training. They're not getting the results they wanted. They go back to these people and they're asking these hard questions, but these people haven't got a clue what's going on. This is the reason why people are choosing the carnivore lifestyle, guys. Because as I mentioned, if these guys are walking around with gut issues, their mental health is shit, they're struggling with their weight and they're not getting the results they wanted, but then all of a sudden they go on the carnivore diet and things are changing. How the fuck can these people convince you that it's not working? Now let's talk about the other nonsense that he came out with. And this is something I hear regularly from you people. Same with dietitians and nutritionists, that if I'm eating this way, I'm going to be lacking in nutrients. I want you guys to look at these two pictures and I want you to explain to me exactly what exactly am I missing out on. Next, let's focus on your other bullshit statement, and that's cardiovascular disease. You're saying that if I'm eating this way, it's going to lead to a heart attack, despite the fact that we live in a world where our consumption of red meat is down, we're all on a low-fat diet, but yet heart disease is still the #1 killer in Ireland. How the fuck do you explain that one? We need to stop falling for this bullshit. I can't stress this enough, guys. And we need to start questioning stuff. Okay, maybe that the information that we've been given for such a long time on the nutritional guidelines are wrong. Things like cholesterol. We've been told for such a long time there's good and bad cholesterol. These people are talking absolute rubbish. We've been told for such a long time that when it comes to fibre, it's extremely healthy. Again, complete and utter rubbish. When it comes to carbohydrates, they're our main source of energy. Guys, there's so many questions that we need to be asking, and nobody's giving you the information that you need. Nobody's giving you the advice that you need. You guys are not struggling with your health because of age and genetics, guys. You need to look at it like this. Everybody has to eat. So why are we not looking at this? We need to be focusing on the food that we're eating. Because at the end of the day, you're never going to know for sure until you actually try it. This is the problem right here. We don't give this a go. Most people who come to me and say, oh, I've done the carnivore diet, I was miserable, I couldn't last, I couldn't stick to it. But when you ask them the question, how long did you do it for? People will say, I've done it for a week, I've done it for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. Guys, it doesn't work that way. If you've done a lot of damage to your body over the years, your body needs to heal, and it might take about maybe 3 to 6 months for your body to heal. And once it's healed, then everything else in your life is going to improve. When it comes to your weight issues, you're not going to have any issues dropping weight. Your hunger is going to be perfect. You're going to get rid of these cravings. If you are suffering with pain, those pains are going to be gone. If you're on medication, I'm pretty sure you'll be off that as well. Guys, your life is just going to improve dramatically. Now think of it like this. You've done this for over 3 months. 3 months, and everything in your life has improved. Your health has improved. You've reversed your type 2 diabetes. Your weight is coming down. You no longer have these issues with food anymore. Everything is just perfect. Guys, you need to be honest with yourself. Are you going to go back and start listening to these people, okay, when it comes to being on a low calorie diet, or are you going to stick to what you're doing? I'm pretty sure if everything is going really, really well, you're going to stay exactly where you are. So this is what I'm saying. You will never understand what I'm talking about until you actually try it. Lastly, I'm going to finish off with this, because this sums it up absolutely perfectly. And this is something that I hear on a daily basis. So when you guys are struggling with your weight, you've no idea what's going on. You're tracking your food, but just nothing is moving. You're going to the gym on a regular basis, again, nothing is moving. You go back to see your PT, your coach, they haven't got a fucking clue either. You go and see your doctor, the doctor's like, I haven't got a clue why your weight is not moving. Maybe it's genetics. I want you to watch this video.
Sophia already had insulin resistance, and her blood work was showing that she had pre-diabetes. What you always have to consider is the risks and potential risks of a medication, but weigh that against the risks and potential risks of doing nothing. Right. When you've tried all the sensible things, the exercise, the changes to eating, the psychological approach, for some people, like Sophia and her mum, it's just a genetic thing. Your genetics predispose you to having problems with your weight, and then we live in the environment that we live in. There's this phrase that genetics load the gun and environment pulls the trigger. And if you have a certain set of genes, even if you try your hardest with all the lifestyle, it can be practically impossible to maintain a healthy weight. So, it's tricky, it's complicated, there are extra considerations with children, but in Sophia's case, it seems it's been really helpful for her.
So let me get this straight. There's absolutely nothing I can do about this. I'm going to be on a weight loss injection for the rest of my life. Meanwhile, the same company that sells us the shit that we buy in our shops, the food that we buy in our shops, are the same companies that are going to sell you the solution when you get sick. But hey, let's blame this on genetics. Okay, got it.